The Mentors, also known as the Mentors Legion, are a loyalist chapter of the Adeptus Astartes created during the course of the 26th founding. The Mentors are somewhat unique for a Space Marine chapter, operating in a manner that is considered atypical or otherwise unusual by the standards of other Space Marines. Unlike other chapters, who regularly dispatch strike forces or entire companies to wage war against the enemies of man, or even muster at full chapter strength, the Mentors by contrast do so only in the rarest or most extreme of circumstances. Instead, the chapter will often dispatch only a solitary battle brother, known as a tutor, or at most a singular squad to aid Imperial forces within multiple theatres of war at any given time. True to their name, the Mentors will often use their skills to train local Imperial militias, and in doing so ensure that the citizens of the Imperium are capable of fighting their own battles instead of relying solely upon the Adeptus Astartes. Indeed, the Mentors believe that the chapter's warriors simply cannot and should not be everywhere at once, instead choosing to operate under the belief of one war, one cadre. This unconventional method of waging war has even resulted in tutors from the Mentors aiding regiments of the Astra Militarum and even other Space Marine chapters. As a result, the Mentors are able to obtain the maximum amount of information regarding the fighting prowess, strategies, and combat techniques of just about any Imperial military force that the chapter's warriors fight alongside. Following the chapter's creation, the Mentors would inherit the colour scheme and chapter number of the Star Scorpions, who are one of 3 chapters alongside the Celestial Lions and Emperor's Spears, which were established to stand sentinel over the region of space known as Alara's Veil. However, the Imperium would deem the Star Scorpions to be destroyed after the chapter's fleet had become lost within the depths of warp space, although a number of Star Scorpions would survive before going on to form a Chaos Space Marine warband known as the Pure. Regardless, the Mentors' repurposing of the heraldry and other such assets which once belonged to the Star Scorpions would lead to the chapter being viewed with suspicion and disdain by both the Emperor's Spears and, to a lesser extent, the Celestial Lions, who would regularly refer to the Mentors with the derisive moniker of False Scorpions. These feelings of distrust were in turn reciprocated by the Mentors themselves, not just to the Wardens of Alara's Veil, but to most other Space Marine chapters, with such feelings being due primarily to the chapter's highly secretive nature. While the chapter's warriors have become well known for the aid that they provide to other Imperial forces, much of the information regarding the Mentors themselves, such as the name and location of their homeworld, as well as the identity of their primogenitor Primarch, remain unknown to those outside of the chapter's ranks. So from which of the first founding legions could the Mentors be descended from? The first possibility is that the Mentors are descended from the 19th Legion of the Legione Astartes, the Raven Guard. As detailed within the first rendition of the 8th edition Space Marine Codex, while the parent legion of the Mentors officially remains unknown, many within the ranks of the Administratum believe that the chapter is descended from the gene line of the Primarch Corvus Corax. This is due primarily to the chapter's preference for launching precise surgical strikes against their foes, in addition to their aptitude for guerrilla warfare, which is highly similar to that displayed by the Raven Guard. In addition, the chapter iconography utilized by the Mentors, a nondescript bird of prey, is thematically similar to the heraldry utilized by a number of Raven Guard successors, such as the Knights of the Raven, Raptors, and Necropolis Hawks chapters, with the latter chapter bearing a sigil that is more or less identical to that sported by the Mentors, save for it being a different color. However, despite these admittedly superficial similarities, it would appear to be fairly unlikely for the Mentors to be descended from the Raven Guard due to one reason in particular. The gene seed of the Raven Guard and their various successor chapters is known to demonstrate a number of physical flaws, the most notable of which are the deficiencies exhibited by their melanchromic organ, which not only results in aspirants developing deathly pale skin, but their hair and eyes will darken until they become an oily black in coloration. The gene seed of the Mentors, by contrast, appears to harbour no such physical flaws. As shown within the novel Spear of the Emperor, Amadeus Caius Incarius, a now former Lieutenant Commander of the Mentors chapter, was himself shown to have tanned skin and brown eyes with visible sclera, as opposed to the corpse-like pallor and fully blackened eyes exhibited by those with Caraxian gene seed. Because of this, unless the gene seed of the Mentors themselves has retained a greater degree of purity than any other chapter descended from the Raven Guard, an achievement which appears to be fairly unlikely, this would suggest that the Mentors are descended from another legion entirely. That being said, however, according to the book Death Watch Honor the Chapter, the Raptors chapter, who are themselves a Raven Guard successor, do still retain a fully functional Betcher's gland, despite the organ being absent within the Raven Guard themselves. In a similar vein, this would also appear to rule out the possibility of the Imperial Fists as being the potential primogenitor of the Mentors, as the gene seed of the Mentors, unlike that of the Imperial Fists, is capable of producing the Susan membrane, an organ which allows a Space Marine to undergo a state of suspended animation. The second possibility is that the Mentors chapter is descended from none other than the 13th Legion of the Legione Astartes, the Ultramarines. The reasoning for this possibility is twofold. Firstly, the Ultramarines are themselves known for establishing the single greatest number of successor chapters, with up to an estimated 70% of all Space Marine chapters being the supposed scions of Rabute Guilliman. This by itself would render the odds of the Mentors being an Ultramarine successor, if solely from a statistical standpoint, extremely high. The second and admittedly far stronger piece of evidence to support the idea of the Mentors being descended from the 13th Legion comes from the novel Spear of the Emperor. During a battle against the forces of the Pure, Amadeus Caius Incarius of the Mentors chapter would sustain a number of injuries that were so severe that not even interment within the sarcophagus of a dreadnought would be able to save his life. The only chance Amadeus had to survive was for him to cross the Rubicon Primaris, undergoing the complex surgical procedure to transform him into a Primaris Marine. However, Amadeus at the time had been sent by his chapter to monitor the actions of the Emperor's spears, and thus the corresponding organs that were specifically assigned and gene-coded to the Mentors themselves were unavailable. In a desperate attempt to save the Mentor's life, Ducarius, a druid of the Emperor's Spears, who served as librarian, chaplain, and apothecary, would nonetheless begin the process of transforming Amadeus into a Primaris. However, at the time, the facilities upon the Spear strike cruiser, the Hex, where Amadeus himself had been injured, were incapable of manufacturing the three unique organs of a Primaris Marine, the Belisarian Furnace, Magnificat, and Sinew Coils from scratch, forcing Ducarius, in addition to taking blood offerings from his still-living battle brothers, to harvest the necessary organs from the corpses of his fallen brethren. But in order for such surgery to have any chance of success, Ducarius believed it was necessary for the Mentors to be of the same bloodline as the Emperor's Spears, who themselves were an Ultramarine successor chapter, as shown with the following quote.
You're sworn to keep the Mentor Legion's secrets, eh? But the only way any of this surgery will conceivably work is if we share a gene source with Amadeus. He's using our blood, our implants. That makes the Mentors the same bloodline as the Spears. They're born of Guilliman's genetic code, like us.
This would appear to heavily suggest, if not outright confirm, that the Mentors are indeed an Ultramarine successor chapter. That being said, however, there is still a chance, albeit an incredibly minor one, that Ducarius' claims may be partially inaccurate. This is due primarily to the fact that blood transfusions and organ transplants can be sourced from individuals that are completely unrelated to the patient requiring them, although in the case of blood transfusions, the patient is nonetheless required to be of the same blood type as the donor. As a result, it is theoretically possible, albeit potentially highly improbable, that a Space Marine from one chapter can receive the organs derived from the gene seed of another, providing that said organs demonstrate a certain level of genetic compatibility. Because of this, it's not entirely outside the realm of possibility that the Mentors could be descended from a legion whose gene seed purity and stability can be considered on par with that of the Ultramarines, or at the very least, close to it. This then leads into the next possibility regarding the primogenitors of the Mentors, that the chapter is in fact descended from the first legion of the Legione Astartes, the Dark Angels. The reasoning for this is that both the Mentors and the Unforgiven, the collective term given to the Dark Angels and their successor chapters, are known to be extremely secretive and enigmatic, with such secrecy in the case of the Unforgiven even extending to their fellow battle brothers. Indeed, within most, if not all Unforgiven chapters, it is only once a battle brother becomes inducted into the ranks of the Deathwing that they learn the truth of their parent legion's sordid past, as well as their secret mission to hunt down the Fallen, those members of the original Dark Angels Legion that turned traitor during the course of the Horus Heresy. In addition, the gene seed of the Dark Angels is amongst the purest and most stable of the 9 Loyalist legions, being second only to the Ultramarines in this regard, making it theoretically possible for those with Dark Angels gene seed to accept organ transplants from donors descended from the Ultramarines. The main problem with this particular possibility, however, is that there has been little to suggest that the Mentors have ever taken part in the hunt for the Fallen, nor does the chapter appear to have an equivalent to the specialist Deathwing or Ravenwing companies, which most if not all Unforgiven chapters have at their disposal. But given the chapter's modus operandi in operating in small covert units, as well as their highly secretive nature, this could lend some credence to the possibility of the Mentors being descended from one of the traitor legions, specifically the Alpha Legion. Much like the Mentors, the Alpha Legion were known for utilizing small covert units in battle, as well as training civilian militias who in turn will operate as agents for the Legion in order to undertake covert missions of sabotage, infiltration, and reconnaissance. Even long after the events of the Horus Heresy, the Alpha Legion were known to sow and cultivate numerous cells of cultists upon a number of different worlds, in order to harass Imperial authorities by generating pandemonium and unrest within the local population. Indeed, the warriors of the Legion still retain their penchant for secrecy even to this day, with much of the truth regarding the Legion remaining shrouded beneath a veil of doubt and deceit. In addition, the Alpha Legion, much like the modern-day Mentors chapter, is known to demonstrate a near insatiable compulsion to acquire information, with the Legion in turn treating any data and intelligence gathered as valuable commodities. The Psyker known as Shere, as shown within the novel Legion, would inform John Grammaticus, a human agent of the Xenos organization known as the Cabal, of the Alpha Legion's desire to obtain intelligence and information, as shown with the following quote.
The Alpha Legion prides itself on knowing everything. They prize knowledge above all things, and hate the idea of anyone knowing more than they do.
Not only this, but if the Mentors are descended from one of the traitor legions, then this could explain as to why their primogenitor Primarch remains unknown to the wider Imperium. For if it ever came to light that the Mentors were descended from the Alpha Legion, then this could theoretically result in the chapter being persecuted by other Imperial organizations due to the actions and atrocities committed by their parent legion. While the idea of the Mentors being descended from the Alpha Legion is indeed an interesting one, there are, once again, problems with this particular hypothesis. The first of which is that the gene seed of the Alpha Legion, as detailed within Index Astartes Volume 4, is known to exhibit a number of random and, oftentimes, extreme mutations and physical deformities, with those who manifest such mutations utilizing them in battle in order to gain a psychological advantage over their foes. The Mentors, by contrast, have not been documented as ever exhibiting such excessive genetic defects, although given the highly secretive nature of the chapter itself, it is admittedly possible that such information has simply been kept hidden from others. In addition, if the Mentors are descended from the gene line of the Primarch Alpharius, then one would think that the Alpha Legion themselves would be potentially aware of such a genetic link between the two factions. As detailed within the novel Sons of the Hydra, Ark and Resna, a member of the Alpha Legion warband known as the Redacted, was himself originally a battle brother of the Mentors, who had been forced to abandon his chapter after being found guilty of committing tech heresy due to his actions involving the reverse engineering of Tau pulse rifle technology. If the Mentors are indeed an Alpha Legion successor chapter, then this would have made Resna a truer member of the Alpha Legion than most other members of the Redacted, whose ranks included a former Night Lord and a warrior from an unknown Ultramarine successor chapter, individuals who were commonly regarded by other members of the Alpha Legion as not being true sons of Alpharius due to their differing genetic lineages. If Resna's parent chapter truly had their gene seed derived from the 20th Legion, then one would think that the leader of the Redacted, Occam Neon True, would have been made aware of such a connection in some way, although this is admittedly assuming that the Alpha Legion would indeed be able to recognize their genetic mark within any potential loyalist successor chapters. Regardless as to which of the first founding legions that they are truly descended from, the Mentors will nonetheless continue to utilize their skills to train others in combating against the enemies of man and exploit whatever information they glean from both friend and foe alike in order to become more efficient killing machines. What do you think? Leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.